No, I can't hear you. Let's plug in my headphones so we don't get no feedback. Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, evening, whatever it may be for you guys. First off, for everybody in America, happy Independence Day. This is pretty much what this show is going to be about today. Got a special guest in with me, a friend of mine who's done some podcasts in the past. He's got a different side of things. I think he's still trying to wake up, so he'll chime in when he's ready if we figure out the mic issues we're having. Today's podcast is also a live call-in. I have links in the description for either Uber, for those that want to call in with your cell phones, or computer. You can do it from both. Or if you'd like to join us on Hangouts, you guys are really welcome to join us. Either or, we'll take your calls, let you in our Hangouts, we'll answer your questions in chat. I know it's early, but don't worry, this stream's not going to shut down anytime soon. And while we're waiting for people to show up, you can just listen to us chat. If I can get Chris's mic, we can figure out what's wrong with Chris's mic. Nothing. You're not muted. I mean, don't worry. This thing gave me all kinds. You seen, I had to reset my router. This thing gave me all kinds of headaches as soon as I set up. Oh, I heard something. It was a little static, but I heard something. Almost sounds like you hit a mic on CD. Almost thought I heard a squelch there, or a squawk. Guys, you're probably going to hear dogs in the background all day. Well, at least for a couple more hours. Well, all day. Our neighbor's having a huge 4th of July party. And we got a parade. I live in a really small town. I mean, small as like you blink an eye and you drive through it. But they're having a parade. It's been an annual thing since I can remember as a kid. They celebrate 4th of July on the 4th of July, unlike most places where they want to celebrate it on the weekend or the weekend before. They celebrate it on 4th of July Day. It's been a tradition that dates back since There we go. I'm hearing background noise.
You got something now?
Yep, now I hear you.
Ooh, cool.
I'll let you introduce yourself. They all know me by now. For those who don't, I am Drew.
Oh, yeah, everybody knows Drew. I pop in every once in a while. I made a big move, moved into a different city, been setting up the last few months. Yeah, I'm Chris. Happy 4th, Independence Day, a good day to remember why we're here.
Yes, it is.
Remember who got us here, how they got us here, why they got us here, and what we're supposed to do about it. That whole eternal vigilance part.
Yep. As my description says, we the people for the people. This is our day, a day forever etched in history. Give me liberty or give me death. And we still have our Paul Reveres to this day. Soldiers, preppers, sheepdogs, patriots, and I can name so many more. This live stream is dedicated to all of you. And you can join in through live call-ins or through Google Hangouts or via the YouTube chat. All topics are welcome. So what do you want to talk about today? I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. Now that I got Chris on here, I want to jump back to my podcast from Saturday and talk a little bit about some cryptocurrency and some tech.
Oh, yeah.
Let him describe it. Because he'll make it sound like a utopia for you. Yes, it does. And for since this is probably maybe the first time people are actually using my Uber conference for the live call-ins, if you have an issue with it, it's not working, let me know in chat. We've tried it out only a couple times. It's worked both times, but we also had some glitches with it. But I'll let Chris go run for a little bit. Let's hear a new voice.
Alrighty. I'm still waking up, so it'll be a little choppy, to say the least. But yeah, as far as I just start off with the cryptocurrency a little bit. Well, that's certainly well in line with freedom and liberty. It gives people really a tremendous amount of power. Governments too, they can use them. I believe China is trying to put together their own effort, a state-funded, state-run kind of a thing. I'll be curious to see how that works out, just for contrast. And another one I want to look into is Ethereum. I know Bitcoin fairly well. I've used it a bit. Never looked into Ethereum that much. It seems to be a little bit better in some ways.
Bobby D, whom it may be, did a podcast last week. He brought on a person much like you that understands and knows a lot of the tech stuff. And he was talking about it. And Dabu and them also did a little talk about it. But this guy, I can't remember his name, but he mentioned the Ethereum thing.
Right.
That's kind of new to me. I've heard it, through Dabu and them a few times thrown around. But that's the one the banks are buying into.
Okay.
All the major banks. They're starting to buy into it. And PayPal and a few others in Silicon Valley. Just like yesterday on Twitter, I seen an advertisement for Bitcoin for IRA and 401ks. So it's definitely,
that's kind of cool.
So it's definitely going more mainstream now. But I'll let you keep going.
Well, yeah, it can be used for investment if you're you got to be quick with it. It's not an ideal form of investment because the markets fluctuate so much, but it can be. It's a good way. It can be a good way to preserve your value for short periods of time. It also seems to really be. I think it could outlive it could survive just about any damage to our tech infrastructure. Could it get the blockchains and all? If you could carry the data over, I think it could survive that. I'll have to apologize for not being so technical on that one. I don't actually know all the technical details, so something corrected me and filled any information I don't have. But I can talk a little bit about I guess you could call it democratizing. It puts a lot of power in people's hands to handle their own finances. And I don't mean just for drug dealers and things like that. I mean just for average folks that they're tired of getting raked over the coals with things. How do I put it without saying it's not an advocation of tax dodging. I'm not an individual whether they want to account for their own taxes or not, that sort of thing. It can be used in places where for purchases like in other countries that are extremely oppressive. The uses they could have in those places. And a little bit on the prepping side, it could be like a digital equivalent of gold as far as holding a value, but it certainly has some merit to it. I highly doubt that we're going to face a situation where, EMPs go off left and right and completely knock us into the Stone Age. I really don't think that's realistic and to be nuke proof. It just routes around damage or physical damage. It doesn't matter. Pretty robust idea. It really fits in with today, I think. I think you got a pretty good take on it from what I've heard. I'd like to hear more of it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been using a little bit of history on it. Like, going back to our first currency, which was the colonial coin. Give me a second. I had to go grab my water on the nightstand. So I switched headphones to Bluetooth, and it's getting real choppy. Hey, Chris, say something real quick so I can hear you. Make sure I got this working right.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I switched to my Bluetooth because I walked away from the computer for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
My water.
Yeah, I muted it so I could type.
Yeah.
I got a couple of things going at once.
Based it off of history. Back when we had the centennial coin, it was our first form of currency. Back when, for those that don't understand what the Stamp Act was really about, Stamp Act was currency and taxation, which hence we get in the Constitution taxation about representation. Hence Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, the British are coming, all that stuff all ties into it. No country would recognize our form of currency. We still had the bartering system. We were bartering, trading. People that were coming over from overseas. And a lot of people really knocked Stefan Malamud yesterday for his podcast he did, because he was bringing up these points, reminding people of our history. People would trade their servitude, their service, for passage. So in a sense, they were indentured slaves. So it is important to understand that our services, our skills, is a form of cryptocurrency as well. Bartering is a form of cryptocurrency. It's backed by skill. Like Chris says, I don't know what any of the cryptocurrencies is backed, because Bitcoin's done by some anonymous guy. Nobody knows what's backing it. Is it intellectual property, like I talked about in the gaming industry? The gamers in World of Warcraft, Diablo, gold, farming gold to sell on the market to other people, because gold is important in the game. The auction house game, it became an intellectual form of currency. You were paying for intellectual property, or you were trading intellectual property.
Right.
But we learned, just like right now, the dollar is backed on oil. Well, that tells me something. Either the oil reserves are getting so low, and we don't control the oil. That's been the key part. Why do we go to backing our currency based on something we don't have control of? We don't produce that much oil. We get most of our oil from overseas, from Middle East.
I would like to add something to that as well.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it's exclusive, if the dollar gets its value exclusively from this. I know it gets value from oil. It gets value from a lot of things. But I want to finish looking into this. It'll probably take a decade, and it'll probably change before I'm even done looking into it. But I started looking at the how it is that currencies get their value, looking at, you know, the number on a social security card, your name in all caps, and all of that. I waded through some bullshit. There's quite a lot out there. Oh, part is certain. We just lost our PG.
What PG? That's Independence Day.
Okay.
Freedom of speech, expression. I'll probably drop the F word before this day's over.
Personally, I think it gets the majority of its value from human labor. And that's why the capitalism is kind of an interesting thing. And it's race to the bottom, which is that'd be a whole matter for another topic right there. Yeah. But I think the dollar gets a lot of its value from human labor, or at the very least, and kind of scary, given how a hospital is considered a port of entry for a trade good, and your certificate of live birth is about the same as that for a cow.
Okay, I got a question on that.
That we are actually traded.
Yeah.
And when I studied a little bit about contract law really broke it down for me. And I started to be able to apply it. I got a lot left to learn. I could be dead wrong on all of this. But it really seems to be where it gets its value. And that's why we know it won't survive automation. As factories eliminate, or as manufacturing eliminates human labor, and human labor is gone everywhere. But what it will do is it will strip the value from every currency on earth. Non-fiat currencies left, with the exception of cryptocurrencies. Where cryptocurrencies really get their value, oddly enough, is the electricity that goes into calculating the blockchain.
That actually makes sense in a weird little way.
If you want to mine Bitcoin, you're going to pay for it in electricity. Server running, if I put it to use mining Bitcoin, $1 a month, because it's a server. So if I'm not getting back, $40, $50 a month, I'm losing money.
Which makes sense, because we've all heard what Google's been doing, buying up all these solar plantations and windmill plantations, to where Google doesn't pay electric company anymore. They're self-sufficient on their own electricity. Basically, the next plots of solar and wind they buy, they can sell it on the market, which then becomes another form of cryptocurrency. As you were talking about electricity, your meters and stuff. I've never actually heard it put that way.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. Here in Michigan, Consumers Energy actually gives you all kinds of bonuses and will help you get solar power.
Huh.
They're it's weird. I usually expect Michigan to be pretty draconian about things. I'm surprised they're doing that.
Well, not me. I know the Minister of Michigan. The malicious side
they've
of
got
it.
a good reputation.
Because, it's like you also point out, and a lot of people point out, robotics coming into the workplaces. It's removing. Well, speaking of which, guys, happy 4th of July to those who are working today on our Independence Day. I know people said, what? Nobody works on 4th of July. Yes, they do. I had to work last year when I was working, and actually every holiday, we never got a holiday off except for Christmas. It was the only holiday we got off. If they had their way, they made us work on that bit too. So, shout outs to those that are working on our Independence Day.
Yeah, you got that right. Shout out to everybody. But hey, somebody's got to keep all the machinery working. We can't all be on vacation at once.
Right. It was like,
I know I've done my share of working on holidays.
Yep.
And once I made over 400 days without a day off. Even managed to work a triple 12-hour shift in there somewhere. Never do that again.
I don't miss those days.
Me either.
Good money. Oh wait, I don't work that way anymore.
No.
No, I remember. I was making as a prep cook and meat cutter. I was making $11.25. I got a 25-cent raise. I went from bringing home close to $800 every 2 weeks to barely $400 after taxes.
You jumped the tax bracket, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah. I worked with a guy that he got hit hard that way. And then he was working variable hours. He'd work extreme hours for a while, then he'd get, 2 or 3 days off a week for a while. He had to hire somebody to do his taxes for him to straighten it all out.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. Like, how am I got a raise, how am I making less? It don't make no sense.
Right.
And I was
I got a whole different take on taxes. I think they're I guess in short, I don't like to use this word, but I don't believe in taxes at all. And I'll just keep it short for now. I don't believe in them at all. But we're all in this game together. That's why I'm fair with my taxes. I don't dodge anything. It's not because I agree with taxes or I'm afraid of going to jail. Well, that's a little bit of it. Or getting penalized. I've been penalized before. I figure if everybody else has to do it, until we reverse it or change it, I'll pay up. I'll pay my fair share.
That's the thing about when we start talking about cryptocurrency. How are they going to tax it? I haven't figured that part out yet because really we don't know what it's backed by. Well, I guess we can guess pretty much what the banks are jumping in on what that's going to be backed by. The banks, people we don't want to have control over that type of currency anymore. Some of the discussions me and you've had in private, on those lines, it's like, that's where, I don't know, I'm 50-50, I want it more into the hands of the people, less government, less corporate, but yet we want to give our stuff to the corporate. To me, I want to give our more control to our mom and pop stores. But with tech, that's slowly going out of the way too. Because like I said, in Florida, they've got a pizza joint that'll deliver a pizza to your table in under 4 minutes. That's all done by robotics, including paying for it. You swipe your little card with your chip in it, or swipe your phone. You're already playing in the game of cryptocurrency, digital market, digital forms of currency. You guys have already been prepared for it. How many people go to the ATM anymore and take out $200, $300? You don't. You just swipe your savings card, debit card, or your checking debit card. It's no longer cash currency being traded back and forth. There's like I said, there's like 4 or 5 new types of cryptocurrencies come up. When you were talking about birth certificates, I can't remember the term, but I've heard people talk about it. Your value is based off your birth certificate. Banks trade and use your birth certificate to gain interest and stuff. Just like, I've heard many cases around the world, people will go to court and fight this. Well, you can take the money that you say I owe you off my paper, off my certificate, because that gives me value. I can't remember the technical term. I've only researched it a little bit. And it's not a new concept. I've heard militia people talk about it as well.
If you're not talking about time banking, are you?
I don't know what it's called. I've heard that term before. Because basically,
I'm kind of into that myself. I want to get it going to the community here for the city. It's a really good way. Japan, of all places, kind of pioneered that one. But I don't think that's what you're talking about.
No, I can't remember what it is, and I'd have to go pull up somebody's video real quick to find out. Santos, Mr. Astrology, I think it's his YouTube channel name. He talked about it because he ended up getting sued. Ended up having to go to court. And he was really talking about it. Because basically it's proof of life or proof of death. Your document's a living, breathing document, so to speak, that the banks use to grow interest and trade. Just like, and that's the other thing, banks. The money you put in, they're reloaning to others. The investments, before we used to, that's why it would grow interest. Your savings account would grow interest. You get more money because they were trading it. They're still doing it, but we're not getting that anymore. In fact, now we're just paying them to do that. And we get nothing back in return for them holding our money. We're paying them just to hold our money while they reloan it, market it, and do whatever else they do with it.
Yep. And as far as I understand it, in some weird way, we lose value each time it gets traded. So not only are we not drawing interest, they get an interest-free loan, or maybe they can pull interest off of it, but they get to leverage it. I think in some cases I think they're up to anywhere between 100 and 1,000 to 1. They're leveraging this, and that's part of the reason why we get crashes. That all that leverage has to get readjusted at some point, and they can keep hiding a lot of it. And I don't even know if that's wrong. I don't understand the economies well enough. I think they're wrong. It strikes me as a huge scam.
Yes, that's what it strikes me as.
But I must admit it seems to function. I must admit it does certainly seem to function. I mean, I can take, I've got money. I can go spend my money. It's not like I can't use my money. I've got money on a debit card. I've got money in a lot of places, and I can use it. So it seems to function. I'm not saying the machine is broken, but I really think we're on the losing end of it.
Oh, right.
Credit unions, I use a credit union, so they don't actually, they pay me to hold my money. But that's an exception, and it's just a local credit union. It's not even outside this region.
Right.
It's a Dork Federal Credit Union.
Isn't that in Texas?
Oh, no, actually, it's in Michigan.
In Michigan? Oh. Because I know a lot of people,
Yeah,
maybe a lot of people don't know. When you guys do your taxes, ask to have it done, your taxes all done through Texas. That way it can be based off gold.
Huh.
Most people don't know that.
I'll have to look into that.
That's what my friend,
That's cool.
My friend in North Carolina has been doing for years with their taxes. They've been going through the Texas bank, and that way it's either paper or gold, but you have access to a solid fund, something that has more value than actual paper. Which is interesting. It's like I said, we're dealing in a bunch of new stuff. Technology is growing faster than people are learning it. And that's why I kind of wanted to talk a bit about cryptocurrency today anyway, because we've got 5 states that's on the verge of declaring bankruptcy. I mean, I'm sure people have seen, I don't know if they're real or not, on the fake news or on pictures on Twitter of Chris Christie sitting on the beach. But all the beaches in New Jersey and park services is closed down because they're bankrupt. They have no money to fund anything. Illinois, last night, I don't know if they managed to figure something out. They're going, because their credit rating has been defunct.
Mm-hmm.
Their de facto credit They have no credit. They're so far in debt they can't afford to pay it back.
Isn't it Illinois that's in a full-blown crisis right now over it?
Yes. Illinois and Maine.
Maine. I didn't know about Maine. Damn.
Yeah, there's 5 states within the last week that did it. Maine, New Jersey, Illinois, I think Massachusetts. I can't remember the other one. California's on the verge. The thing is, what happens when we strip these... Yeah.
Who runs those places?
It's a scary trend. Right. Well, I mean, it's a scary trend, though, because, in a sense, it's the banks causing it as well. I mean, they start backing these cryptocurrencies. It's a way to force cryptocurrency onto people and control them, corner the market. I mean, they could push Bitcoin completely off the map by doing this, because if the banks have control of the Ethereum currency, cryptocurrency, and it's still currency, but they can push that onto these states that are going bankrupt and bail them out. It's happening just not here in the United States, though. It's happening everywhere in the world. I mean, we're focusing on the United States today because it's our Independence Day, and we should be the ones leading by example. I mean, you've seen some of the patriotic videos I've been posting the last couple days. I mean, where's our John Waynes? I mean, John Wayne was probably one of the most patriotic actors out there. You can find some of his short clip videos of him talking about these things, what it meant to be. You could talk to people in Russia and stuff, older people. They knew.
Well, I think
the Duke.
I think. Oh yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
You know, it goes to the point. You know, they wanted that American dream that we still most of us still believe in to this day. You know, but nobody goes back and thinks about where things start changing, how things. We get caught up in the crisis. We've seen what we can do in great crises. 9/11, everybody remembers it. We put all of our differences and divisions aside and came together and united as a whole. And we were focused on rebuilding and getting back at what was done to us. So we let laws come into place, things get changed, like the Pledge of Allegiance taken out of the school in 2002. By the Supreme Court. And they just started, because we're so caught up in the big event, we're not seeing the infinite changes until later down the road. Now, our younger generation, they don't know what Independence Day really is about, because we talk about the Boston Tea Party, which is part of our Constitution, became put into our Constitution, taxation without representation. And that's not taught in school anymore. The schools that use Common Core, that is. They took it out of history because it leaves a blemish on America. No, it don't. That's the ideology of it's not even right, because that's what made America what it was. That's what made patriots. That's what made us want liberty, freedoms, justice, equality. You know, we're dealing with the same things when we have these major crises, like the bank crisis in 2008. We were all caught up in it, we need to save our auto industry, because that's been our bread and butter. We missed all the things that they did on the side because we were all caught up on the big issue, you know, the real shiny thing. They got everybody's attention, and therefore everybody missed the sleight of hand, so to speak. I'm sure you got some bad.
To a degree, I think the banks are out of control. They don't have complete control. There's something that so far nobody's figured out how to control, and that's something known as the natural economy.
Right.
That's the economy of that has physical limitations to it. It's the economy of, obviously, of resources and that sort of thing. But Ron Paul talks about it all the time. I think it was Mises school. They teach everything based around, fundamentally, how to make sure that your imaginary economy, the one that we create, which can be good, it can be excellent, how to make sure that it always stays in alignment with the natural economy.
Right.
You get a non-eco warrior version of sustainability, where it's not about protecting the environment because it's necessarily the right thing to do, which is cool. But you can't sell that shit to bigwigs. You can't sell that to a business person. They don't give a shit. My bottom line. Well, simple. If your environment is messed up, somehow you're going to have to cope with that. It's going to cost you money. So if you make it in your best interest, at the very least, minimize the damage you do to the environment that supports you. And we get too far away from that. That's when we end up with the issues we've had with fiat currencies and that sort of thing. Just to kind of pull from Ron Paul. He's one of my sources of information for this. I trust that he knows what he's talking about. Some issues I disagree with him. But I think he's got that dead on. And I think that school of economics has it at least close. And we can never get too far away from that. And the people that created this nation understood that quite well. We've kind of forgotten that, I think. And the banks, they keep trying to push everything. And all they're doing is, they're creating a house of cards for themselves. They keep trying to find ways to profit from it. And so far it's worked. They're predatory. I'm not even going to talk about the rightness or wrongness of that. I can see a little right and a lot of wrong. But they're going to cut their own throats in the process. And so I really think if everybody could start taking an angle like that, we can all pull a win-win out of it. It's kind of like, how would I put it? It's not accepting of evil and letting it do its thing. It's just a way of presenting, even to the evil bastards out there, that, look, guys, your futures are wrapped up in this too. You got to get your crap together, or you're going to suffer the same fate as us. It's just going to be delayed for you. You can only pretend for so long. And what I'm noticing is, especially in a lot of the Davos talks, people really should go look deeply into those. Ignore the ones that the conspiracy theorists and the public figures, the talking heads, tell you you're supposed to look at. And yeah, that includes Alex Jones and Dabu and BP Earthwatch and all of them. Go look deeply into the Davos talks. They're all on YouTube. You can watch them and listen to what these human beings have to say about their own positions. They're aware of their spot. They're aware that they're in these positions of unbelievable power. They're aware of the fact that, like George Soros was in that video I shared with you the other day. He knows what he is. He knows he's a predator. And from the sound of it, the human side of him and the business side are almost schizophrenically separated. He wants people to come up and fight people like him and destroy them. And more importantly, to minimize the damage they can do. But until the day comes, he's going to do as much damage as possible. He knows it.
Right.
This tells me each one of these people has an inner conflict that can be reached. We can reach that. We can touch that. We can bring a balance of emotion and logic to the table, and we can start to show people, look, we don't all have to be enemies. We are. In some areas, we're going to be. But we don't have to be in every single area. We can come together. We can find a way to sort all of this out where nobody has to lose. We don't have to look at this as we're going to crush you or you're going to crush us. And if it comes to that, well, we'll do that. So it's kind of a last-ditch effort. I mean, look at it. I mean, people never go and enemies never go talk to each other until they reach a stalemate.
Right.
So maybe that's what it takes. I don't know. That's my little spiel on it. I'll hand it over to you, Drew.
It's like something we've been discussing, finding common ground, which is hard. We've been taught to be so divided. We've been programmed to be divided. I mean, we have people that are practice fear porn all day long on here, on YouTube. Because they know, in a sense, they know fear porn sells. Fear porn will gain their audience. It's clickbait. We just keep giving these things new names, new titles. we call cryptocurrency, but we've had a form of cryptocurrency in the bartering system.
Yes, you got it. Its form of encryption is just that there's no record. I guess you could say it's encryption. Oh, hell, I was going to try to coin a term there. I can't do it. I'll let you do it if you want.
I mean, yeah. Actually, I don't know the term you were getting at. But
Oh, me either. I was going to try to come up with one, but I'd run on a long rambling tangent. No, it's too early in the morning for that.
you know, but people forget our bartering system's been around since our forefathers and before them. But we've also used it as a warfare weapon. Every country has. We've used it. Here, take these blankets. And therefore, we spread smallpox and other diseases through it. I mean, or here, take these foods that's been tainted that you don't know about. You see our beautiful gardens that are non-GMOs and stuff, but we've added chemicals into them without telling you, and we hand them off. See, even bartering can be a dangerous form, and it's been used throughout the century in practical warfare. It's a subliminal form of warfare. Poison the water well. When we poison the well, we strip the resource value of that thing. We strip the ability for it to be used in the community. It's not no much different than how our bankers work today and how other forms of currency have worked. It just keeps going and going. We need to realize that we have different forms of currency. New things are coming, and people are making new ways to bring them about, whether it be through the collapse, slow or quick collapse of states, forcing them to buy into this type of new currency. So in a sense, we are poisoning the well. We're making the states go bankrupt, so much debt, giving them the worst credit rating we can give. You know, it's a tactic, like I said, it's been used for years. We just call it by different names and different forms. I hope you guys enjoyed this little segment. Well, hour-long segment almost. But I wanted to give you guys a chance, you know, shorten this video up some from the 4-hour, almost 5-hour long live stream we did. So you can, you know, give it another person's perspective on cryptocurrencies along with some of mine and a few other things we've discussed that's still tied into the currencies and, you know, how we view certain things. It's important that we realize we live in a day and age that change is happening, and it's happening at a faster rate than we've seen it in the past. We need to stop, think about things, really look into things, pick up on the patterns, and start making more people aware. You know, maybe get back more towards the bartering thing. Stop putting our money in banks. Those are choices you guys have to make. I've made mine. You know, I'm not, as more and more of this cryptocurrency starts taking off, I see the fall of Bitcoin because they don't want that. I see one of these other ones that you see, the banks, the tech companies, the corporations buying into and propping up. They're going to play with the markets. It's like I touched in another video, how if we look at the cyber hacking that's been going on, they've only been asking for Bitcoin, no other form of cryptocurrency. They're giving Bitcoin, in a sense, bad publicity, a bad name, causing people to look at the other forms of cryptocurrency. These are the things that we need to pay attention to as we're entering this age. Like I said, we're there. We've already been programmed and taught for it, whether it be through the gaming or how we've been doing banking in the past 5-6 years. You know, so like I said, I wanted to give you guys a shorter version of this, you know, instead of the 5-hour long video that this came from. And no, you know, get your guys' feedback as well. What do you think? You know, I hope you guys enjoyed this little clip. Well, not little, it's about almost an hour long, but you get the point. I haven't been known to do anything under than an hour. But you guys share this. Comment. Let me hear your views and opinions so I can come back and revisit and show your guys' opinions and views. You know? This is how we build upon our communities, how we build upon knowledge and wisdom, sharing with each other's ideas and beliefs in the systems. As you can see, me and Chris are kind of different on a few things, but we find common ground. We build upon that common ground. That's what we need to start doing within our communities, building upon common ground, building our communities up instead of dividing them and letting them be destroyed or silenced by those that don't want us talking about these things. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, it was the Independence Day live stream, but I wanted to edit some stuff out of it so you guys could hear two people's opinions and how they see things. Remember, this is our opinions and views. Yours is probably going to differ from ours on many aspects, but I still want to hear them because we learn from each other. That's the important part. So, with that, I am going to close out. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Everything you need to know if you want to contact me is in the description. Or you can go to my channel's page and get my email. You can direct email me or find me on Twitter. It is important, you know, if somebody wants to actually talk about these things with me, come alive, get with me and we'll set it up. I enjoy having these discussions about all these things that are important. We learn from them. Other people learn from them. So, I look forward to hearing from some of you. I look forward to seeing your comments. You guys, hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. Remember, we the people for the people. We are one community. We're not supposed to be divided. We're supposed to be whole. You know, we're supposed to look past our difference in beliefs and ideas and find common ground. That's what our forefathers meant by we the people for the people. They don't want us divided, because when we're divided, we're it's easier for them to quiet us and silence us. It's easier for them to conquer us. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you guys next time, and I'll probably clip a few more videos from this throughout the week on the other topics we discussed. So, until then, I'll see you next time.